Hey guys, we got some new information about Dragon Dang, and he's looking pretty cool. His stats are high as expected. He's a destruction character. That kind of surprised me a little bit, but hey, the upcoming 3 destruction 5-star characters are going to be quite strong. We're getting Blade, Dan Heng, and then Jing Liu sometime later. It's going to be a pretty crazy time. But besides that, today we're going to be going over Dragon Dang's kit. So, let's get into it. First, from what we know, we can check out his basic attack, right? He uses a 2-hit attack and deals imaginary damage equal to 100% of his attack to a single enemy. Pretty cool, 2-hit, not that bad. It's honestly whatever. Then this is where things get a little bit complicated, so we're gonna go over to his skill first, which is unrestrained, right? It enhances his basic attack, and enhancements may be applied up to 3 times consecutively. Using this ability does not consume skill points and is not considered as using a skill, which is really important because I thought he was going to be really skill point heavy, but as it turns out from that sentence, he's literally not. So, enhancing the basic attack, Beneficent Lotus, 1 time transforms basic attack into Transcendence. Enhancing Beneficent Lotus 2 times transforms it into Divine Spear, and 3 times transforms it into Flagrant Leap, right? So the way that his kit works is you would consume skill points up to 3 times to change his basic attack into different stages. And then it reads, when unleashing Divine Spear or Flagrant Leap, 1 stack of Dominating Roar is gained before every hit. Starting from the 4th hit, each stack of Dominating Roar increases Dan Heng's crit damage by 12%, for a max of 4 stacks, and these stacks last until the end of his turn, right? So if we then go back to his basic attack, right? You see how it's just a 2-hit at first, the Beneficent Lotus? That's the first stage. That's the stage we always start off at. But if we hit the skill button, it then enhances it, and it once transforms it into Transcendence, which then unleashes a 3-hit basic attack equal to 260% of his attack to a single enemy. If we then hit it twice, it then transforms into Divine Spear, which unleashes a 5-hit attack that deals imaginary damage equal to 380% of his attack to a single enemy. Then from the 4th hit onward, it simultaneously deals imaginary damage equal to 60% to adjacent enemies. So it turns itself into an AoE, which is pretty cool. 60% is kind of low, but it's still splash damage. Then if you enhance it 3 times, you get Fulgurant Leap, which unleashes a 7-hit attack that deals imaginary damage equal to 500% of Dan Heng's attack to a single enemy. From the 4th hit onward, however, it does the splash damage equal to 160% of Dan Heng's attack. I like this concept as a character. I wanted something like this actually, where a character uses their skill points to like mess around with their basic attack, and Dan Heng is actually what I wanted as a character. I was literally thinking about it. I was like, damn, Dan Heng would be pretty cool if this is what he does. And from all the leaks and everything from that long ago, exactly what he does, and that's pretty cool. Knowing that what his stats are, and so far looking at the animations, it does seem pretty cool. Knowing that it doesn't consume skill points and it increases his crit damage, is going to be quite literally a DPS monster. He's going to dish out a lot of damage really quickly and efficiently at that, because he does not consume skill points. So he will most definitely continuously be positive. And honestly, that's really exciting, and that's good for team comps, right? So you can really do a hyper carry team with him, and you will have a net positive at the end of it, is what I'm trying to say. You can slot him into a lot of teams, actually, now that I think about it, depending on, because of how his kit works. Like, just the skill alone and what the basic attack does with the enhancement makes him worth it. He's an easy character to sell, I will say that. I say that because if you look at his kit and look at all that damage that he does, it's really hard to ignore it. Like, if you want a strong damage dealer, Dan Heng is definitely this. And if we move on to his ult, it unleashes a single hit attack, deals imaginary damage equal to 300% of Dan Heng's attack to a single enemy, and then it does it to adjacent enemies up to 140%. However, you then attain 2 stacks of, I'm not going to pronounce that, but I can try, Squama Sacro Sancta, right? I'm just going to call it Squama, right? You get 2 stacks of Squama, and a max of 3 Squama stacks can be possessed at any given time. When Dragon Dang can consume an equivalent number of Squama stacks instead of skill points. Instead, consuming Squama stacks is considered equivalent to consuming skill points. And this is where this comes in. Using his ult is crazy for him, because using his ult means he gets 3 free skill points. Then, because using his ult means he gains the 2 free Squama stacks up to a maximum of 3, which then allows him to at least do a basic enhanced 2, which will be Divine Spare. He can also do a Fulgurant Leap for only 1 skill point afterwards. So it's nice how his kit blends into each other. Everything makes sense with his kit. It's not like a jumbled part where this does this specifically, but then this does that in a really weird way. We aren't getting that with Dragon Dang. We're getting an actual solid kit, and that's really good. That's actually really, really good. That this character is well thought out enough where it makes sense on paper, and it makes sense in gameplay how he works. Then if we look at his talent, right, Righteous Heart, then gains 1 stack of Righteous Heart after each hit unleashed during an attack. Righteous Heart increases his damage by 14% up to 6 times, and these stacks last until the end of his turn. Sorry about the noise in the background if you are hearing this. It's currently downpouring right now, and it's really heavy. So what this talent means is during each hit and after each hit, right, he gains the stack. So if we do Divine Spare, that's a 5-hit attack, right? And on the 4th hit, it's AoE. So what you would do is you would do 4 times 14, and then on the last hit, on the 5th hit, we know that the 5th hit is going to be a splash damage AoE. So far it's 60%. You would then add on that last 14% and combine it all and add it with that 60%, and you get a massive damage boost. The splash damage looks low, right? But you combine it with his talent, which is going to be like an automatic thing, and you realize that, holy crap, this guy does an enormous amount of damage. His crit damage stacks, and his talent stacks his attack by how much? Yo, Dragon Dang is a DPS monster. He does damage. I cannot stress this enough. He does so much damage, and that's really good. There's nothing wrong with having a character that just does damage. And I think continuing to add characters like these to this game is healthy for it, right? Because while we have healers and we have supports, right, and those characters are harder to replace, DPS characters can come and go. But the more that we have, the more options that we have, right? Like Seele is always going to be the quantum character for DPS, and sometimes clearing like other content because of how Resurgence works, right? Kafka is going to be the dot character, where if you want a long sustain and good consistent damage, you bring Kafka. And if we look at a character like Dragon Dang, he can be the simple nuker, where if you want high amounts of burst damage at once, Dragon Dang is your character. The same thing can be said about Seele, and we can compare these two actually. We know that Seele does an enormous amount of damage. It's a little bit unfair because she's a hunt, but Dan Heng, I can argue, can equal her. With the way how his kit works, he should be able to come close to her numbers. His technique seems to put him in a state, and it simply reads, after using his technique, Dragon Dang enters the Leaping Dragon state for 20 seconds. While in the Leaping Dragon state, using his attack causes him to move forward rapidly for a set distance, attacking all enemies he touches and blocking all incoming attacks. After entering combat via attacking enemies in the Leaping Dragon state, Dragon Dang deals imaginary damage equal to 120% of his attack to all enemies and gains 1 Squama stack. Which is fine. It's kind of like Yukong. He just gains speed, he blocks attacks, burst, attacks all enemies. Perfectly fine. Now, if we move on to his traces, his traces are really interesting. Interesting in the sense that, damn, they really gave him this? I guess. Sure, why not? Totally. Staring Dragon, Unveiled Legend, which is the first trace. It increases his crit rate by 12% when dealing damage to enemies that have imaginary weakness. So you bring him to an imaginary fight and bam, automatic 12% crit rate increase. That's crazy. Number 2, Raining in the Flood. Increases the chance to resist crowd control debuffs by 30%. That's always nice. He doesn't have a way to resist any form of debuff, so having this is a good slap. So having this is a good add-on for him. Makes him a bit more resilient and a little bit more tanky, because he definitely will need that. Trust me. There's no way to remove it. He's just raw damage to character. Then, Concealed Star, which is at the start of battle. He immediately regenerates 15 energy. Would you look at that? Would you look at that? You know, that is nice. That is really nice. Pretty good passives, I would say. I was hoping for something to deal with the Squama stacks, but this is fine, I guess. This is also fine. Probably in his Idolon, right? Speaking of his Idolons, first one, Tether the Sky, increases the number of stackable Righteous Heart stacks that can be held by 4, and 1 extra Righteous stack will be gained for each hit per attack. So the first Idolon is just more damage. The second one, Banners of Dominion. After using his ultimate, his action will be moved forward by 100% and he gains 1 extra stack. Now, I know a lot of people are upset because this used to be a trace, and not a trace, this used to be a passive on his ultimate, and they removed it. The second Idolon, which is greedy, and that is horrible. That sucks. That really does suck. A lot of people were looking forward to that, and I don't know. There's nothing else to say about it. That's just shitty, to be honest with you. Moving on to his fourth one, buffs Outbound Dragonling. Buffs provided by Dominating and Roar persist until the end of this character's next turn, which is good. Means that he gets to continually upkeep his damage. That's always nice. And then for his E6, the Divine Dragon returns. After any other ally uses their ultimate, the imaginary resist penetration of Dragon Dang. Next full grant leap attack increases by 20%, up to 3 stacks. It's just more damage. That's it. All his Idolons are just more damage and makes him a bit more consistent with his damage and upkeep time, I guess. 4. Idolons are good. I would say that the first Idolon is quite solid. More stacks of Righteous Heart is obviously a huge DPS increase for him. So you go from 6 to what, 11? No, you go from 6 to 10, but you gain 1 extra per hit. So you go from 2 instead of 1, which is a massive increase. But the main thing is his Idolon 2, actually. Like, the 100% action forward and the 1 extra Squama stack was actually crazy. But that kind of sucks now that it's a E2, but whatever, I guess, right? Finally, let's look at his light cone, actually. To the death. Ooh, what a name that is, to the death. Not what I thought his light cone would be called, but they'll probably change it. Probably not, actually. It increases the wearer's crit rate by 18%. When the wearer uses their basic attack, they will gain 1 stack of Dragon's Call for 2 turns. Each stack of Dragon's Call increases the wearer's attack by 12% and energy regeneration by 7%. Dragon Call could be stacked up to 2 times. Well, that's quite the light cone, huh? So we get an 18% crit rate increase, which is massive. If the enemy has an imaginary weakness, that's an extra 12%, so that's 30% right there of crit rate. Insane. It's just a free 30%. And then, Dragon Call, huh? 1 stack for 2 turns. And each stack increases your attack by 12% and energy regeneration by 7%. So you gain 24% attack buff and a 14% energy regen. His light cone is really, really good. It actually is really, really good. You can even potentially run this on Blade. Like, for those of you that don't want Blade's light cone, you can actually put this on him and you'll still see good results. Because the damage increase and energy regeneration is quite there. It's quite good. Granted, probably not Blade, now that I think about it, because Blade doesn't really scale out of attack too well. That's the only thing. HP is his primary stat. His scaling for attack is quite low. It's low, but it's still a thing that he needs, right? The 14% energy regen will come in handy, and the 18% crit rate. Sheesh! Damn, man. That's gonna be crazy. But if you slap this on him, oh yeah, it's definitely gonna be good. And with Dragon Dang, I guess you want to use a full cowboy set, if we're gonna be honest, and then after the full cowboy, you want to use the new relic set that increases your basic attack by 20%. As I mean, why wouldn't you, right? Basic attack and skill damage. Granted, you're only getting the basic attack one, but that's actually 20%, and you can reach the 70% crit rate so easy with him. So there's no reason not to be honest with you. But I'll save that for like a theory crafting video kind of thing. But that's the idea. Damn, this character's gonna be crazy. So much damage on him. It's gonna be really fun just watching all those numbers stack up so fast. That's all though I have for you today on Dragon Dang, or his official name, Imbibitor Lunae, as Blade likes to say. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Once again, sorry for the noise in the background if it does pick up. Once again, it's like downpouring over here and it's really bad. It's like really heavy. But yeah, catch you guys later. Peace.